Okay, so you sent this YouTube video our way.
Yeah.
It's from the channel Philosophy, and it's called How the World is Designed to Keep You Ignorant and Small.
It's a good one.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
It makes you think, like right off the bat, how much of what we think and what we believe is actually stuff that we came up with ourselves versus stuff that's kind of been, I don't know, given to us in a way.
Yeah, the video's whole premise is that the systems we live in aren't neutral.
Right.
They're not just like empty vessels.
Yeah.
They're more like
pre-designed in a way.
Architectures of limitation.
Ooh.
Masquerading as opportunity.
Oh, I like that.
Right.
That's a good one.
So that's a powerful way to think about it.
Yeah. So instead of just having like a free open range, we're kind of being nudged along certain paths.
Yeah, exactly.
And the video really hammers home this point that, maybe the most powerful way to control people isn't through force, isn't through telling them exactly what to do.
Right.
It's more subtle.
It's like, it's through a quiet cultivation of smallness, it calls it.
Yeah, smallness.
Yeah, I think that's a really evocative phrase.
It is.
Because it's like the most effective prison is the one where you don't even realize you're in a prison.
You think you're free.
Exactly.
But the bars are there. They're just invisible.
Exactly. And so this deep dive that we're doing into this video is going to be all about unpacking that. Yeah. Like, how does that work?
And the interesting thing is that the video goes through all these different aspects of our lives.
Right.
So education, media, of course, technology, economics, all this stuff is all tied together.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily saying that there's like some evil genius behind all of it.
Right.
Like some mastermind controlling everything.
Right.
It's just like the natural function of stuff can lead to this kind of outcome.
Yeah. So, as you're listening to this right now, think about like a decision you made recently. Anything.
Could be anything.
And think about like when you made that decision, was it really like you had all the options in the world?
Right.
Or were the options already, in a way, kind of limited for you?
Yeah, were they pre-selected in some way that you might not even be conscious of?
Yeah, it's a good way to start thinking about all of this.
Yeah, and it leads right into the first sort of topic that the video explores, which is this idea of pacification through abundance.
Okay, so pacification through abundance, what does that mean?
So the video uses this really clever example of the cereal aisle in a supermarket.
Okay, I've been down that aisle.
Right, we all have.
So many choices.
You got like 100 different boxes of cereal, different flavors, different brands, different colors.
Right.
It feels like, oh my gosh, I have so many options.
Yeah, I'm in control here.
Right, I can choose exactly what I want.
Right, I'm free.
But the video says, okay, hold on a second.
Okay.
Yes, you have a lot of options, but they're all still within this very narrow framework.
Okay.
They're all still processed grains. They're all still basically the same kind of food. So you're choosing between different variations, but you're not really choosing outside the system itself.
You're not choosing to not have cereal.
Exactly.
Got it.
And the video asks you to imagine, what if you try to step outside that system?
Right.
What if you say, you know what, I don't want any of this cereal.
I'm going to find something else to eat.
Right, exactly. What if I want to, grow my own food or something?
Yeah.
Suddenly your choices become much more limited.
Interesting.
Because you're not playing by the rules of the system anymore.
So it's like all those choices are there to kind of distract you from the fact that there is a system.
Exactly.
And you're kind of stuck in it.
You're so busy choosing between A and B that you don't even think about whether you want to be in that game at all.
So you don't think about the bigger questions.
Exactly.
You're just thinking about the little things.
Yeah, and the video connects this to the way we express ourselves.
Okay.
So we're often told that our individuality comes from what we buy.
Okay.
The clothes we wear, the gadgets we own.
It's the car you drive, the house you live in.
Exactly. All that stuff.
Yeah.
And we're encouraged to express ourselves through those things.
Yeah.
Rather than through, creating things, inventing things, coming up with new ideas.
Right. Or just being yourself without all the stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like your identity becomes tied to what you own.
Okay.
Rather than what you do or what you think.
So the video is really making us think about our own lives here.
Yeah. Definitely.
Like, think about something you bought recently. Ask yourself, did you really need that?
Right.
Who benefited most from you buying that?
Yeah, good question.
And here's a really tough one.
Yeah.
What would happen if you didn't buy it?
Right.
What would you have done with that time or that money?
It's a challenging thought experiment.
It is.
And this brings us to that term the video uses.
Right.
Pacification through abundance.
Okay, so we're pacified, like we're kept calm and occupied.
Yeah, exactly. We're so busy
by all the stuff,
choosing between all the options,
right,
that we don't have the mental space to think about the bigger picture.
To question the system.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got the supermarket. Now let's go to social media, which the video spends a lot of time on.
Oh, yeah.
And it talks about this illusion of infinite content.
Right, so you open up your app.
Yeah, TikTok or Instagram.
Exactly. And it just seems like there's this endless stream of stuff.
Videos, pictures, articles.
Yeah, never ending.
Like, wow, there's so much out there.
But as the video points out,
that
stream is not random.
No.
It's being carefully curated.
Yeah.
By algorithm, which are like, think of them like little recipes that decide what you see based on what you clicked on before, who you follow, what keeps you engaged. So while you might feel like you're exploring this vast universe of content, you're actually being shown a very specific, very personalized version of reality.
So it's tailored for you.
Exactly. And that can lead to what the video calls the sensation of choice, while systematically removing meaningful alternatives.
So you think you're choosing.
Right.
But the choices have already been made for you in a way.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's scary.
You might get to choose, like, which funny cat video to watch next.
Okay.
But the algorithm might be actively filtering out perspectives that challenge your views.
Oh, interesting.
Or information that could make you think differently about the world.
So it's keeping you in your little bubble.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the video brings up this point about customization. It's really interesting.
Okay.
We have all these ways to personalize our digital lives.
Right, like the color scheme on your phone.
Yeah, or like the arrangement of the apps.
Yeah, or the filters on your photo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But those are all superficial things.
Right.
They don't really change how these platforms actually work.
Okay.
Or the information that you're exposed to.
So it's like you get to choose the paint color.
Right.
But you don't get to choose the house.
Exactly.
So think about the choices you make online.
Yeah.
How many of them are really outside the options that are given to you?
Right.
How many of them really surprise the system?
Yeah, good question.
It's like, how much are you really in control?
That's the core question.
Okay, now this next topic is really fascinating to me.
Okay.
It's this idea of the paradox of information.
Oh, yeah.
So we have access to more information than ever before.
Right, like exponentially more.
But the video argues that we might actually understand less about how the world works.
How does that happen?
Yeah, how can you have more information and understand less? That doesn't make sense.
Well, the video's argument is that this huge flood of data can actually obscure things.
Instead of making them clearer.
Exactly.
Okay.
When you're constantly bombarded with news headlines, social media updates, notifications, all this stuff.
Yeah.
It creates this kind of noise.
Right.
And that noise can make it really hard to pick out the important signals, the information that could actually lead to genuine understanding.
So it's like a form of censorship, almost.
Almost, yeah.
Not by hiding information,
right,
but by burying it under a mountain of other stuff.
Exactly. It's like being in a crowded marketplace where everyone's shouting at the same time.
Yeah.
You hear all these voices, but you can't actually understand what anyone's saying.
You can't focus on any one message.
Exactly.
It's just noise.
Yeah. And the video suggests that this might not be entirely accidental.
Oh, okay.
That the people who control the flow of information might understand that when our minds are overwhelmed.
Right.
We're less likely to be critical, to ask difficult questions.
Makes sense.
Right.
So you're overwhelmed, so you don't even try to understand it.
Exactly.
You just kind of let it wash over you.
And think about how often a breaking news event.
Right.
Or a viral controversy.
Yeah.
Just grabs everyone's attention.
Totally.
And we're all like, oh my gosh, did you see this? Do you hear about that?
Yeah.
Well, meanwhile, there are these deeper, more systemic problems that require sustained attention and thought.
Yeah.
And those just kind of fade into the background.
Because they're not as exciting.
Right. They're not as emotionally engaging.
They don't grab you.
And this is what the video calls the attention economy.
Okay.
Where the goal isn't necessarily to inform you.
Right.
It's to capture your attention, to keep you scrolling, to keep you clicking.
To keep you watching ads.
Exactly. And the algorithms that are shaping our online experiences.
They're not designed to prioritize truth or importance.
Right.
They're designed to prioritize engagement.
So whatever gets you riled up.
Exactly.
Whatever gets you clicking.
They learn what triggers your emotions.
Whether it's anger or fear or excitement or whatever.
Exactly. And that's what they use to keep you hooked.
That's a little creepy.
It is kind of creepy when you think about it.
Yeah.
And then the video brings in this really heady concept from Jean Baudrillard, the French philosopher.
Okay.
The Procession of Simulacra.
Oh, that's a mouthful?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful.
Break it down for us.
Okay, so the basic idea is that reality can get replaced by representations of reality.
Okay.
So think about news reports, social media posts, all those things.
Okay.
Those are representations of reality. They're not reality itself.
Right.
And over time, those representations, they can lose their connection to the original truth.
So they become like a distorted mirror. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So instead of experiencing things directly, you're experiencing them through these filters.
Right. So you're not seeing the world, you're seeing someone's version of the world.
Exactly. And it becomes harder and harder to tell what's real and what's not.
Especially when you've got all this information coming at you all the time.
Right.
And you feel like you have to have an opinion on everything.
Yeah, there's this pressure to react immediately to every trending topic, every new development.
Right.
And that doesn't leave much time for reflection.
For thinking things through carefully.
Exactly.
So the video offers a really practical exercise.
Okay, I like those.
It says, next time you feel that urge to check the news or social media, just pause.
Okay.
Take a breath.
Literally pause.
And ask yourself, what were you thinking about before that urge hit?
Interesting.
Yeah, what was going on in your mind?
What deeper thought might have been forming?
Yeah, and it even suggests trying to limit your news and social media consumption. Like maybe just check it at certain times a day.
Instead of constantly.
Exactly.
I like that.
And just see how that changes your thinking.
Yeah, see what happens when you create some space.
Space for your own thoughts.
Exactly.
Instead of filling it with all that external stuff.
It's like almost a radical act.
Yeah. To just be quiet with your own thoughts.
To not be constantly...
Yeah, it's a challenge. Okay, let's shift gears a bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about education, which the video also digs into. And it starts by talking about that excitement, about learning that we all have as kids.
Right, that natural curiosity.
Yeah, like little sponges wanting to know everything.
Exactly.
And then it contrasts that with how a lot of people feel about school as they go through it.
Yeah, like that spark kind of fades for a lot of people.
Yeah, it becomes drudgery.
Right.
And the video's argument is that modern education systems, they're not really set up to nurture that initial spark or to really expand your mind in all directions.
Yeah, it's not like, let's explore, let's discover.
Right.
It's more like, let's fit you into a box.
Yeah.
And get you ready for the workforce.
It even uses this phrase, functional units for economic systems.
Yeah, it's a bit harsh, but it makes you think.
It does.
Yeah.
So think about the things that are emphasized in school.
Okay.
Memorization.
Yeah.
Standardized tests. Following the rules.
Right.
And the video suggests that the focus is on those things.
Right.
Rather than on creativity.
Yeah.
Individual curiosity, asking critical questions.
Yeah, thinking outside the box.
Right.
Which is kind of ironic.
It is.
Because they're putting you in a box.
Right.
But they don't want you to think outside of it.
And it brings up this concept of the hidden curriculum.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not just the stuff you learn from the textbooks.
Right.
It's the stuff you learn by just being in that environment.
Yeah, the unstated lessons.
Yeah, like accepting authority without question. That knowledge comes from above.
The teacher, the textbook.
You're supposed to just absorb it.
Right.
Not create it.
And to question it.
Even things like raising your hand to speak.
Yeah.
Sitting quietly for long periods.
Right.
The video says these can be seen as early training.
Oh, interesting.
In accepting external control.
Yeah, you're learning to be a good little worker bee.
And then it talks about Michel Foucault, who observed that institutions like schools and prisons, actually, and hospitals
interesting combination
can function in similar ways to normalize behavior.
So they're all about control in a way.
Yeah, in different ways, but they all have that element of control.
So think about the rigid schedules.
Right.
The division of knowledge into separate subjects.
Right, like math, science, history, all separate.
Yeah, like they don't connect to each other.
Right.
And the constant evaluation.
Yeah, tests, grades, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Which teaches you that external judgment is the most important thing.
Right, instead of your own internal compass.
And the video points out how rarely you might have been encouraged to ask why.
Yeah, why am I learning this?
Exactly.
Who decided that this is important?
Right.
What got left out?
Yeah, those big questions.
Yeah.
The video says those are often discouraged.
It's like, don't ask those questions, just learn the material.
And the problem, according to the video, isn't just that you might learn some stuff that you never use.
Right.
It's that school might teach you to separate information from real understanding.
Oh, okay.
Knowledge from wisdom.
Right.
Learning from the experience of actually living.
So you might be good at passing tests.
Right.
But you might lose that drive to really explore and understand things for yourself.
And then it talks about Ivan Illich.
Okay.
Who argued that traditional schooling can prepare you more for life within institution.
Okay.
Than for independent thought and act.
Interesting.
So it teaches you to be dependent.
On the system.
Yeah.
To need someone to tell you what to do.
And what to think.
Instead of how to think.
So think about this.
Okay.
When was the last time you learned something just because you were curious? Not for a grade, not for a job, not for anything other than your own interest.
Right.
What would you study if you were completely free?
That's a good question.
And the video has another experiment for you.
Okay. Hit me.
Choose a fact you learned in school that you've always just accepted as true.
Okay.
And then do your own research on it.
Independently.
Yeah. Follow your own questions.
See where they lead.
And notice how your mind works differently.
When you're in charge of your own learning.
Okay. Let's move on to another big one.
Okay.
The fragmentation of attention.
Oh, yeah.
The video calls this permanent partial attention.
Right. We're always kind of half.
Yeah. Like you're constantly switching between tabs on your computer.
Checking your phone every 5 seconds.
Yeah. Your mind is just pulled in a million different directions.
It's exhausting.
It is.
And the video suggests that this isn't just a side effect of technology.
It's intentional.
Well, maybe not intentionally designed, but it definitely benefits certain.
Okay.
So a distracted population, according to the video, is a more profitable population.
How so?
Well, you're more likely to buy things.
Oh, okay.
You're more easily influenced by advertising.
Right.
And you're less likely to, question the status quo.
Right. You're too busy to think about the big picture.
Exactly.
And the economy is increasingly demanding your attention.
Yeah, not just your labor, but your attention.
Your eyeballs on the screen.
Exactly.
Your clicks, your likes, all that stuff.
Every interaction you have online is generating data.
Right.
And that data is valuable.
And the video points out that workplaces sometimes even celebrate multitask.
Right. Like it's a good thing.
Yeah. Like you can do a million things at once.
But often you're not doing any of them very well.
Right. You're spread too thin.
And digital platforms are designed to break things down.
Okay.
Into these bite-sized pieces of content.
Right. Short videos, quick articles, all that stuff.
Easy to consume.
Yeah.
But not very conducive to deep thinking.
Right.
Think about how rare it is to experience silence.
True.
Like true, uninterrupted silence.
There's always something buzzing or beeping or whatever.
Exactly. And the video makes this connection to ancient Rome.
Oh.
The bread and circuses.
Right. Keep people entertained and they won't cause trouble.
Exactly.
So it's like we have our modern day version of that.
Yeah, except it's more personalized and more pervasive.
And the video brings up this concept from Herbert Marcuse.
Okay.
Repressive desublimation.
Another mouthful.
Yeah. But what does it mean?
So it's the idea that your natural desires for meaning and fulfillment can be channeled into consumerism.
So instead of finding real meaning in your life,
right,
you try to find it in buying things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you might seek satisfaction in buying the latest gadget.
Right.
Instead of, pursuing a creative passion.
Or connecting with other people.
Exactly.
So the video is really asking us to examine our own habit.
Yeah.
And our own desires.
And to ask ourselves, what are we really seeking?
Yeah, good question.
What thoughts have we had that never really got to fully form?
Because we got distracted.
Exactly.
What insights have we almost grasped?
And then lost.
Yeah.
Because our attention shifted.
What might we realize?
If we just let our minds be quiet for a while.
Yeah, it's almost scary to think about.
It is kind of scary.
Because we're so used to the noise.
Exactly. And the video says that choosing to reclaim your attention, to really focus on something, is almost a radical act.
It's like going against the grain.
Exactly.
So the video has another challenge for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
Try setting aside just 1 hour with no digital devices.
Oh, wow.
No entertainment.
Cold turkey.
No distractions.
Just me and my thoughts.
Exactly. Just you and your thoughts.
Okay.
And notice how uncomfortable that might feel at first.
Probably very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But then what?
Notice what starts to emerge when you sit with that discomfort.
Okay.
Instead of immediately trying to escape it.
That's interesting.
Because your attention is valuable.
Yeah. More valuable than we realize.
And there are lots of forces trying to fragment it.
To grab it, to pull it in different directions.
And a mind that can focus might be more likely to see through some of the illusions that surround us.
Might start to see the matrix.
Okay, so now we're getting to the end of the video. And it's talking about this idea of reclaiming sovereignty.
Okay, so after all this stuff about how our thoughts and our environment might be limited, what do we do about it?
Right, because it's easy to feel overwhelmed.
Like, oh my gosh, I'm just a pawn in this game.
Yeah, there's nothing I can do.
But the video doesn't leave you there.
Thank goodness.
It actually offers a message of empowerment.
Okay.
It highlights this amazing ability of human consciousness to recognize when it's being constrained.
So just being aware of it is the first step.
Exactly.
Right.
And the video argues that these systems, they rely on our unconscious participation.
So we're playing along without even realizing it.
Yeah, we're like sleepwalking through it.
We're letting ourselves be distracted.
We're choosing the path of least resistance.
Consuming instead of creating.
Exactly.
So what's the antidote?
Awareness.
Okay.
Conscious choice.
Right.
Deliberate reclamation.
Of our attention, our education, our decisions.
Exactly.
So we have to fight.
In a way, yeah.
Not with violence or anything.
No.
But with our minds.
Yeah, with our awareness.
With our choices.
Every time you choose depth over distraction.
Okay.
Creation over consumption.
Right.
Questioning over blind obedience.
Yeah.
You're weakening the hold of these systems.
It's like a little act of rebellion.
Yeah.
Every time you're truly present.